So I think. Hi, Anne. How are you? Oops, you're muted, I think. Oh, I'm gonna promote you to panelist, okay?
Okay, great.
Oh,
Nice
and then
to meet you.
you're not muted anyway. Let me see. I'm gonna mute you and then promote you. It won't let me promote you right now. Hold on. You're good. I think you have to unmute yourself. Good.
Yeah. Okay, great. Nice to meet you.
You know what? You're already in as a panelist, so we're all set. I'm confused. We do have an attendee. It is a resident. So let's see. We're the only ones here so far. How are you?
Well,
Good.
beautiful day today.
Oh my gosh, too gorgeous. I'm gonna move over to my usual desk before everyone arrives. Sally, who is our committee chair,
Yeah.
is going to be joining us by phone only. She's going to be on the road. So, and this is a small committee. It's just 5 people.
Okay, great.
And
Thanks for meeting with us.
yeah, I am not a committee member. I'm just the trustee liaison to the for the committee, and I run the Zoom.
Do you know if Jason Pinto will be?
I don't know if he'll be joining us. He joins when he can. I don't know whether he'll be coming tonight. Hi, Glenn. Let me just, I'm gonna allow you to talk in case you have a question you were wondering for this meeting. Glenn, I think if you unmute yourself, you'll be able to talk to me.
Hello.
Hey, Glenn, how are you?
Hello,
I'm good.
everyone.
How are you?
Good. As everyone's coming in for the meeting, I just wondered if there was anything in particular you were wondering about, or if you're just here out of curiosity.
No, I've been following the ad hoc meetings. They're all on YouTube, so I just
Okay, so you're joining us live tonight. Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
Let me make sure everyone's getting in okay. Carlo, how are you?
Hey, Kelly, great. Yourself?
Good. I don't know if you saw Sally's joining us by phone only today.
Okay, that works.
Yep.
Hi, Carlo. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, likewise.
Arlo, that's like old times.
Like, yeah, absolutely. I'm just waiting for the live show to start again. In person. Hey, Kelly, they did a great job at the police station there, that corner, as you said.
Oh, it's
Awesome.
beautiful. It's
Yeah.
so beautiful. And
Yeah.
and it's like playful. And
Yeah.
I mean, what a perfect thing to have done as we come out of COVID. I can't even.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
I mean, it was a great donation.
Mhm.
And it was just great to see that we did it in-house as well, Kelly.
No
I mean,
kidding.
we're doing a lot more, and I don't need to tell you, which is great.
It really
Brings-
is. You know,
Brings a big smile on my face.
thank you, Jerry.
Yeah, it starts at the top, as you
Yep.
know.
Yep.
How was your trip to Florida?
It was okay. It was okay.
Okay. Good.
It was stressful, but it was
Right.
okay. Yeah.
Did your dad had a good time? I think it was.
Yeah, it was my father-in-law. You know what was interesting? You know, he's 98. He uses a
Right.
walker. His mobility is really limited, and his independence is really limited.
Right.
But he got in the swimming pool, and when he got in, like the buoyancy held him up, and he could walk without someone holding. And I think he almost started crying. He was just so overwhelmed with emotion,
Yeah.
just being able to stand and move on his own
Yeah.
for the first time
Awesome.
in years. That was good. That was good. That was
That's
worth it.
great.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks. So we have 2 Coach Jordans who have joined us, and Jeff Carpenter.
Howie,
Yeah, Carlo, how are you?
how's it going, my friend?
I'm good, brother. How are you? You good? Everything is
Awesome.
well?
Things
Family's
are great.
good?
We're
Good.
standing.
Howard, I've
Hey,
heard
Jeff.
so many great things about you. I'm Kelly. Nice to meet
Hi,
you.
Kelly. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. Thanks for coming. Nice to meet you.
No, nice to meet you. The pleasure's mine.
Hi, Alex.
Mr. Alex Zinger and Ann
You're
Sklar.
I'm just like fixing my my computer. 1 second.
All right, so we are still, we have Jeff and Carlo. I don't know if, I think Tina was going to be on the road as well tonight. Is that your memory, Carlo? And Man, we're waiting for Manny and
Can't
Sally.
recall.
And
I mean,
Sally.
I know last night she had the graduation.
Oh, I think, yeah, that's right.
Tonight, I believe it's right neck.
Okay.
Which graduation, Mamaroneck or Rhinebeck? Tonight.
Tonight, right neck, Howie, and last night was MHS.
Yeah, there you go, Tigers.
I wonder if we have someone who's phoned in. I'm just going to look up, see if it's Sally. Yeah. Sally, so you've called in. I'm going to, I have to allow you to talk. So if you can unmute yourself, Sally, we'll be able to hear you. So she has called in. She's still muted though.
Is it possible for the host to unmute her?
I had unmuted her on my end, and she has to unmute herself then as well.
Okay.
And now she's dropped off. So I don't know what was going on. Maybe she'll come back in. So Jeff, are you going to run this one?
I am not prepared to run it, but in fact, to be honest, I couldn't even look at that agenda that Sally sent.
I couldn't either. I couldn't.
Yeah.
Either. It said I didn't have permission, and I had to ask for permission. So I don't know what that was. If it was the agenda or if it was this draft survey.
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
Sally and I talked a little bit about the draft survey.
Okay.
And I assume we do want to talk about next steps to getting that out.
Yep. I think that will just be, talking to Robert, getting him in the loop.
And actually, she and I come to think of it, we did talk to him
okay.
a week ago. So in fact, I can give a little update on that.
Okay.
So he mentioned that the village does have an account on SurveyMonkey.
Okay.
Which that's good news because of course that makes things easier to use a service like that, and it makes it easier to collect data that we can then share. And we can have a scan code that we can post flyers around, and people can scan with their phone, and it'll take them to the SurveyMonkey's survey. I think we talked about leaving the survey open for maybe 2 to 3 weeks. And we particularly talked about, Robert brought this up, how much personal information we want to ask for.
Yeah.
And making it clear that, and also, how much free form would we include on the survey? I think we concluded that we should probably just at the very end give people a chance to enter additional information.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're going to need to go through that information, but that it would be nice to give people a chance to do that, and to include, their names and contacts if they were interested in doing that.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's good. I think that making the names and contacts optional is good too, because just knowing the history of surveys in the village and things, they tend to get foiled. And so if people are answering these things, I don't want them to expect them to be confidential. So
Yeah,
we should probably put that up front. I mean, I just, you know, if someone foils them, it's a question of whether you want to involve lawyers to try to fight, you know, and protect privacy. And I'm just trying to head something off before it happens.
yeah. Take a look at the latest
I will.
that we have on there. You may have even been the last one to update it, but right now it does say, you know, at the end, we're asking for information such as your agent address so we can know whether you are a Village of Mamaroneck resident
Right,
or someone from the broader community.
right. All right. I think that's good. You know, we don't have a quorum, and I expect we're not going to have a quorum, but because we are not subject to the same rules, I think we can go ahead and meet and have the discussion. And because we have guests here who want to present to us, I think it's important that we hear from them, and then just close it out, right? I mean, if we want to talk more about the survey, I don't know that there's anything you have to add, is there?
There isn't, but just to be clear, it sounds like we can go ahead between now and the next meeting and get the survey out with Robert, right?
I think we could, yeah.
Yeah.
Because everyone has had ample time to edit it and comment on it, you know, for months.
So we will work towards doing that.
Carlo, do you have an objection to that? Since you're-
Absolutely not.
Okay, okay. Good. I will let Robert know. And if he has further questions about, you know, the identities of people who are filling this out, and how much people want to disclose or not. And it's a question that I can run by the village lawyer. You know, do we need to put any additional language about privacy? We can just do that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would just, obviously, if you could take a look at the latest survey and let us know if he has any more feedback.
Yeah. Could you, if you could you send me a link to that? If you
Sure.
have it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think the only thing we have to do then is ask our guests to speak. So if you don't mind, Jeff, we'll just ask them to start their presentation. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Great.
Please
Okay.
go ahead.
You guys have the floor.
Well, I guess I'd like to start off and introduce myself. I'm Howard Jordan. I've been a resident of Mamaroneck, oh boy, for 55 plus years. Went through Mamaroneck Avenue School. Had a chance to have a year at the opening with the Homix Middle School. Graduated from Mamaroneck High School, and as some of you know, when coming on, you know, very dear friends with Mr. Carlo Recca here. You know, had a lot of great moments playing sports with him. I've been a high school basketball coach for over 30 years. I've done a lot of volunteer coaching here in Mamaroneck. Back in 2015, with Mayor Norman Rosenblum, I was awarded on Howard Jordan Day in the Village of Mamaroneck, and it was given to me on November 2nd because it was the day that Ronald Reagan actually signed off making Martin Luther King a national holiday.
Hey, can I just interrupt you? I'm really sorry. Sally, is that you on the line now?
It is.
Yeah, it's me.
Great.
I'm unmuted. I was listening to everything before, so I am with you. I'm sorry I'm in the car, so I'm
That's all right.
listening.
I'm really glad you're able to unmute, but actually we are getting feedback. So if you could possibly mute yourself until talking, that would be great.
Everybody always wants me to mute myself. Why?
All right,
Thank you.
thanks, Sally. And I just want to add to everyone who's here and hasn't attended these meetings before, they are recorded. So we're being recorded, just heads up.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry for the interruption.
Again, long-term resident, had a lot of experience as a player, playing in the NFL, playing in NBA Pro-Am, coached basketball for over 30 years. I run my own ABA professional basketball team in the process of launching a professional basketball league that we're looking to be comparable to the NBA within 3 to 5 years. We have a non-for-profit, that was started, with myself and Alex and his wife Sasha, that we run for the kids through the Jam Nation basketball program. That it's like what I've done with the Jam Nation for over 26 years now. Is that we target all kids. We don't care, who you are, where you where you come from, what background you have. It's about having an opportunity to partake in a sport that I love and that I adore. So, here we are, with coming to you in reference to the possibility of bringing a facility to Harbor Island so we can continue to do the work that, we've all started and I know I've done for over 30 some odd years. One of the things that I guess I want to really start with is also having an opportunity to introduce Alex and also Anne. So please, you guys tell a little bit about yourself before we move forward, if you don't mind.
I could go for some. Is Alex on? I don't see him, but I've been a resident of Village of Mamaroneck for over 3 years, and I was introduced to Howard through Alex, and I've been helping him help with the administrative type and end of the proposal that we're presenting today. Alex, you may.
My turn. Guys, thanks for having us today. My name is Alex Zinger. I have been with my family a resident of the village for the last 20 years or so. My older son, I have 3 sons. My older one was 20 years old and has gone through JAM along the way. And, frankly, Coach Jordan, when he was in 7th grade, changed his life for better after some sports issues he had at school. So I owe a lot to Coach Jordan, not only for that one, but for the other 2, but start with that one. He went through first the Mamaroneck schools, then we spent the last, dozen years or so in Rhinebeck. He's in college right now. I have 2 15-year-olds that are going to be sophomores in Rhinebeck, who also, played and have played for Coach Jordan. And, the reason why I'm here, frankly, is because for two reasons. The first is because Coach is a tremendous asset that we have in our village. And if you guys have gone out there and, a lot of you know him, but you can go around and you see him, trying to find the court to take care of these kids, doesn't matter who they are, doesn't matter where they come from. But, he's what I think a coach should do, which is, take these kids in, teach them, care about them, and try to help them with their future. So you can at any time ask him, and he'll tell you how many stories, and, he's super modest, but the amount of kids he's helped over the years, I think it's tremendous. I think it's a great asset. So that's number one. And number two is we don't really have a lot of options, not only in the village, but around the area for these kids growing up to, get off the streets and get off trouble and, go and do something. Sports is one option, but there's really not a whole lot of options for them. I'm watching now with my 15-year-old, don't have a whole lot left in terms of time to take advantage of something like that. But, kids are not even doing anything wrong, like walking around the street, 8 o'clock at night, get the cops called on them, for walking around the streets because they have nowhere to go. So I think that's an important thing because, I think the idea here is to create a place that becomes a magnet for these kids to get together and do positive things. I think that, that's how the idea started. I've been with Coach for several years trying to figure out how do we do this. I think we're at the right time. And let me share the screen, and Coach, maybe we can do this together.
Sure.
Can you guys see this? Hold on, not yet.
There we go. Yep.
So, I think what we kind of crystallized around was why don't we try to build a facility where, you know, we'll fund it. And I think we have a lot of people that are willing to contribute to this and help build this. And I think we wanted to do this as a public-private cooperation where, you know, we would find a place with the village. And the reason why we say Harbor Island is because we've been talking about it, and that's the feedback we got. You know, if you wanted us to build it somewhere else, we would. Where we can do it together to benefit, you know, the residents, to benefit, you know, the kids, and where we can have, you know, Coach be the one heading this and heading programs. You know, I don't think we're, you know, we're not proposing something that's open and like, hey, come in anytime, do whatever we want. We're talking about organized, where we would come into an agreement with the village, we would fund it, we would have it for a certain period of time, and then we would be able to, you know, Coach would be able to have it for programs that, you know, kids could come in, and the village, you know, we could have an agreement with the village where certain village programs could come in there. And that's, I think we would, you know, we would sit down and if there's the concept of this happening, we would sit down and work on this. You know, this is something that I was just talking about, and I think that I've covered it. But I got to tell you, I think an important aspect of this is you have the know-how, you have the talent here with people that come from the village of Mamaroneck, and I think you got to take advantage of that. You know, I without pointing fingers, but like, you know, we have Sport Time here, where they've been here for a long time. It's, you know, it's very elitist to have like tennis, where there's maximum 4 people an hour in a court. And, you know, I think it's, what we're trying to do is benefit as many people and kids as we can. And I think, you know, with local village know-how, and I think we can rally a lot of support around this. So that's the idea, you know, and that's what we would like to do, and try to, you know, benefit as many kids as possible. So, you know, conceptually, this is what we're talking about is, and I think we're flexible in some of the aspects here, but like this is sort of the general concept where Fair Game Foundation, which is a non-for-profit 501c3 founded by Coach Jordan a few years ago, we helped them put that together, would build the facilities. We would be raising money. I'm going to write the first check for that. And a lot of people in this phone are going to follow too. And I think what we would like to come up with is a long-term agreement with the village to manage these facilities. So essentially, you're going to have a donated facility where, you know, the 501c3 is managing that. You know, and again, as we talk, you know, summer camps and other programs we would want to facilitate for the village. But, you know, I think we would want to have programs to have these kids, you know, like Coach Jordan has historically, you know, for these kids to play competitively, not only in school, but, and, you know, by the way, you guys can go to Columbus Park like any afternoon, and you'll see the amount of kids that are just there, that are spending all their time in the park. And, you know, we're talking about guidance, and we're talking about year round, because when it gets cold, there's really nowhere to go. You know, I think we really think that this is a win-win for the village and for the community. I think what we're saying from the village is we really need a place to do this. I think there've been talks about where and how, and, you know, I don't think this is necessarily, you know, the place for us to like, hey, let's decide where we're going to do this. But, you know, I think that there's been a couple different places identified to do this. And we would be building this purely with capital that we raise. I don't think we're asking the village to, you know, to create and to contribute money to do this, even though, you know, it'd be great. I'm not saying no, but I'm saying this is independent of the village. And, you know, I think it'd be great for the kids, you know, again, not only, you know, the competition, and, you know, by the way, there's plenty. If you just think about what organized sports are around our neighborhoods, which is, you know, the young kids play a lot of soccer and play a lot of baseball. Okay. And those are really well-run programs. If you go to Mamaroneck schools, and if you go to Rhinebeck, I forgot about lacrosse as well. So those 3 sports, if you see the high schools aren't really the ones fostering these kids or the schools. It's really these programs that are using, you know, the village land to build these kids, which is, I think it's awesome. I think it's great. So we're saying, hey, you know, for a lot less space, you could do the same with basketball. And you could, you know, I don't have statistics to tell you, but I can tell you anecdotally, there's a lot of kids that are playing these three sports that end up going and playing this through high school seriously, keeps them out of trouble. And, you know, decent amount of these kids are going into college and playing this. And then I think last is, you know, there's a cover facility. We don't have that today, you know, bad weather, winter, there's really nowhere around here to, you know, for us to go and for our kids to, you know, to go. You know, this is an example of, you know, what we had in mind and what we think it should look like. You know, I think we have basketball in mind, but these things also turn into volleyball and you know, indoor soccer. You know, I think that the size that we're being modest. Like, if you want us to be more aggressive, we can be more aggressive. But you know, this wouldn't, you know, work for indoor lacrosse because it'd be too small. But you know, that's something of what we had in mind. We think would look like. If you guys want to be more ambitious, you know, we're happy to join and try to do that. But the focus here is, you know, basketball to try to use Coach, who is our great asset. We talked a little bit about ourselves, and I think that's a good summary. I don't know, Coach or Ann, if you guys want to add anything.
Yes, just to reiterate what Alex, you know, was saying, you know, in reference to, you know, yes, the primary focus could be basketball here, but you know, we're looking to expand on however way you guys feel that the need is for what we all want to do here for the Village of Mamaroneck and at Harbor Island. So, you know, with having an opportunity to walk over, you know, what could possibly be, you know, 16,000 square feet of land that's there at the harbor that we could go into and do some different things. And Jason and I spoke about, you know, the possibility of expanding and putting in some AstroTurf, and also possibly even just adding an outdoor facility to go along with that. You know, I mean, we're trying to do whatever is going to be best for the Village of Mamaroneck. One of the things that, you know, when I take a look at everything that's taking place right now throughout the country, one of the things that I've always loved about being around in Mamaroneck is the togetherness, the diversity, you know. And one of the things with running JAM, and when we go to other states to play, whether it's Connecticut or New Jersey, in the past, we've gone to Maine, we've gone to Virginia, North Carolina, all they hear is New York, and they just want to rip you a new one, you know. But I just love the diversity that we have here, and it's why I've stayed. It's why I've allowed my children, you know, to grow up here. And when I take a look at what we'd all love to have happen, you know, I really would love to have this be a beacon. And when I mean a beacon, you know, of togetherness, we call ourselves the Friendly Village. You know, we always get along, and it's always arm in arm, you know, in lockstep. And I want to show everyone else what we have done here, what we have built here, you know, in Mamaroneck, in the village, and how we get along. So when you come here, you're going to have to do like we do. That's just like any outsider that moves into the Village of Mamaroneck. You do as we do. When we get along, we don't have a problem. And I'd love to be able to have the Connecticut's and New Jerseys and the Virginias come in and see what we do, and see how proud I am to be a member of the Village of Mamaroneck, a resident of the Village of Mamaroneck. And I think that can be done, that can be achieved, while our kids get the benefit of having an opportunity to see and meet and greet other kids that come into our village, our friendly village. So yeah, it's very important to me, you know, and again, it's why I stay. It's why I do what I do. And it's why, you know, I get along with Carlo and Alex and Ann, because, you know, I think we're all on the same page. We just got to figure out how we need to get it done. That's all.
Thank you very much. Does anyone from the committee have questions?
Well, I was just going to ask a little more about JAM. I think I'll maybe try to look at your website if you have one after this and learn more about it. I live in Mamaroneck. I'm just sorry, not as familiar with the program. You may have said this. How many kids are participating today, and do you utilize the schools for courts today in the community?
They ask for so much, and I utilize Columbus Park. That's Carlos shaking his head. Yes, that's right. That's where we grew up playing basketball. And the uniqueness about that, not the park itself, but the basketball court. 1968, I'm an 8th grader at the Homicks, and there was, the assassination of Martin Luther King. Before that court was there's that little tiny court that you see off to the side. And what happened was there was a riot that took place at the Mamaroneck Playhouse. And then Joe Del Bianco, who was the youth officer, got us all together along with Chief LaFury. And they said, listen, we don't want anybody to get hurt. What do we need to do, to try and make sure everybody's safe? We asked for a basketball court. That court was put there because of the situation that took place. So that's why I've been always keeping JAM at Columbus Park. JAM is spelled with 2 M's, Jamm. And the uniqueness of that is because, my last name is Jordan. My daughter is Alicia, it's the A. Her twin brother is Michael, is the first M. And my youngest son is Matthew. So that's how I got JAM. And because when you dunk a basketball, sometimes they say, you jam the basketball. So it all tied in and fit in. And actually, Tom Murphy's daughter, Emma, she played for me, when I had the girls program. Carlos' son, Peter, he played for me as well. And so, yeah, I'm really proud of that. Very, very proud of that. And if you go to the fairgamefoundation.com, you can read a little bit more about the fair game, and you can read about JAM.
Great. Does it offer programs for adults too?
No, sir.
Okay.
So can I chime in for a minute, going back to Howie's point and also Alex as well? Howie and I basically did play at Mamaroneck High School. He always used to take me to task for good reason. We also I've got 3 sons, he's got 3 children. And many years ago, we tried to get a youth center for this community, similar to what Harrison has in other communities. And we were not successful. And at that time, Joey Comblo, youth officer, we kept pushing and pushing, and here we are 30 years later, Howie, approximately.
Yes, sir.
And we're still talking about this. And when Howie and I were, say, in middle school, we were able to go to the Homicks on a Friday night. It was open to the public. And I know things change, but our children have nowhere to go. They wandered the streets. And, it's ridiculous that, schools don't open up their doors again, or we don't have a facility, and we should. And again, we've been trying to push, and I know I'm a big basketball guy, and so is Howie. I think I'm bigger than he is with basketball, loving the game. But we need to do something for the kids of this community. And people be willing to pay to have the children go somewhere. I mean, $5, $10, whatever it is, like to go and play at the schools. Yeah, there's liability and insurance and so forth. But it's a necessity for this community.
Truly. Thank you, Carlo.
You're welcome.
Yeah, just to add, guys, you asked about the schools. It's absolutely impossible to get time in the schools. The way they're set up, the way the athletic directors, behave. It's essentially, if you're coming from outside, the only people that have any access to the school is LMBA. And Coach used to head the LMBA program a few years ago. That's a historical relationship. It's very hard to keep out because there's a lot of pressure, but it's essentially impossible to access the courts in the schools.
And then the cost factor as well, Alex, as well as I do, Howie, you too.
Yes.
It's just incredible. I mean, it's a money machine for them. It's tremendous revenue.
So on the subject of revenue, can I just ask, so under this model, this foundation would pay for the facility, the village would provide the land. I mean, that's just assuming that anyone can build anything in Harbor Island ever, or somewhere else, but on village property, this facility would be built. How would then the foundation recoup its money? I mean, and would there be any revenue coming to the village for the use of the land? Like, how would this work?
So I think in principle, we're going to build this most likely with donations. So there isn't the expectation that we're going to recoup the money. Yes, it
Okay.
would be village land. I think we would have to enter into a long-term lease agreement with a village, or a 501c3 would have to do that. And these programs are, people pay for them. And with rental of courts and things like that, that's how we would support it. But, not having to support a mortgage or having to recoup the investment is, makes it a lot more reasonable to do that. I think we would have to sit down. I think that we would, under a long-term lease, ultimately the village would recoup that and own that building. I don't think we're in principle, we're thinking about paying the village for the use of this. It's for the benefit of the village. It's a non-for-profit. It's run by, by local, local residents of many years. This is not a profit endeavor, on our part. This is, it would be a public-private partnership where, you have hopefully taking the inefficiencies out of running it in the public and, and having the private, take this. But I don't, maybe I'm not thinking of this right, but I don't see why, why the village would get paid for this.
Okay, I'm just thinking of the sport time model that we have now. The sport time revenue that comes in, it can be $300,000 a year to the village. So this would be a completely different model that's looking at a nonprofit, maybe a break even. Like,
Correct.
I just wonder if you have a financial outlook that talks about the that takes account insurance and electricity and paying staff, and has that all been worked out at all?
If I may speak on that.
Sure.
So Kelly, at this point, we do not have the specifics because it's, as you may be aware, there's extensive time that goes into that. And if we first need the approval to go forward, if we're putting those projections to a 7,000 square foot building, it would be a lot different than if we got an approval for 14,000. So all of the business experience we're bringing to the table and able to put those numbers together very easily, but we are not going to expend time to do so.
Understood.
But we will follow any certain model.
Let me tell you, Kelly, I've looked extensively over the years at buying facilities and have run models. I looked at Sport Time when it was about to go bankrupt. I looked at other facilities. We know what the economics are.
Okay.
I understand the economics pretty well.
Exactly.
And you mentioned Sport Time. This is not the same model. My personal view of Sport Time as a village resident is that it's absurd. It occupies a huge amount of land. It's poorly run. It's run for the privilege of a few people. You can't fit more than 2 or 4 people at a time. So I personally think that's a failed model. I don't want to even think about that. So I don't know how the village ultimately ended up renewing that agreement. That's past. That's not my business. But I'm not looking at that.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead, Tina.
Well, first, I'm glad that you said that instead of me having to say that, because I was gonna say, I don't think that you can compare what you guys are presenting to the way Sport Time exists. And I feel like too, like when we were talking about Sport Time, this is basically what I was trying to describe as what belongs in the harbor. Having access to it for summer camp and letting the village use it for village run programs that are affordable to all residents is what really belongs in Harbor Island. But before you had said that, my question was gonna be, are there locations that you guys have it identified?
So I'll let Coach speak to that because they're not only us. So we're here. We're saying, guys, you tell us where. We're happy to adapt to that. But Coach has been working, with people in the village and going around as to what's possible. So I'll let him describe.
Okay.
Yeah, Jason and I did, we walked about 2 weeks ago. We walked Harbor Island and, there was a couple of locations that could be. Nothing was, of course, etched in stone because we didn't know exactly where we would be. But, there is space available down there that, yes, said facility could go there.
And what about outside of Harbor Island?
We have heard about that. And again, we just don't know exactly.
Yeah, so we don't know what the limitations are, right? Because, for example, there's that big area behind the Boston Post Road around the Toyota, the DCH Toyota. So
Heller's Lane.
somebody told us we can build it there. Great, we'll build it there. My understanding is there's all sorts of environmental issues still there that you can't do it. So we're looking, and flexible. And I think it's based on everything I've heard, it's very possible for us to build in Harbor Island. That we'd have to jump through some hoops. But, I don't know, that's at least what I'm here for. I'm happy to go talk and work through anybody who we need to work through to get that done.
On another place that we had talked about was the parking garage that's across from the police station. Because that
Well,
is
I mean,
built, it's terrible anyway.
to address that, Tina, that would be a whole nother hurdle then you have to deal with taking down the structure or the people where they're going to park. We focused on Harbor Island Park because there's so many programs would be within walking distance. So we would be able to serve the community so much more easily. It's all set up there. There's the space. And we seem to have the support to go forward with going there. So we would like it to.
Oh, yeah, well, I think
focus
it would
there.
definitely be ideal to be in the harbor.
Yeah,
Especially during the summer with the summer camp, 200
exactly.
children.
Yeah, yeah.
It's easy access and so forth, easy
Yeah.
parking.
I have one more question. Go ahead, Carl, finish up.
No, I'm done.
Is that, one, we're going to have an opportunity to supply jobs for local residents. And two, it's like, we're in a tournament this weekend that is going to be our last tournament for the spring. And it was $450 just to get into that tournament. And our first two games on a Saturday, we have to play up in Yorktown, and our Sunday game is going to be played over in Ardsley, over at House of Sports. And this is what we now have to call a local tournament. When we have Harrison and Rye and White Plains and New Rochelle and Scarsdale in our backyard within a 15-minute ride or less. But what happens is that when you're in between games, they're going to go up into Mamaroneck Avenue and partake in our wonderful eateries that we have there. So it's really a win-win for everybody, to be honest with you.
What what is like the percentage of the kids that participate that actually live in Mamaroneck?
I have 3 teams and I have 12. So we're talking about 36 kids. Out of those 36 kids, I would say roughly 29 or 30 are from Mamaroneck, the local.
That's nice.
Again, I've been doing this for so long. I just got Alex Stanton, who graduated from Mamaroneck High School, who just got drafted into the PBA, which is the Philippine Basketball Association, which is the first Mamaroneck resident to ever be drafted into a major league sport. There's Jason Holmes that played with my son, Michael, who went off to play over in Europe and was MVP for Germany. From age 10 to age 16, I had Kimball Walker, who plays for the Boston Celtics and is a NBA All-Star. So, yeah, it's, to me, I always tell parents that, I mentor first and I coach second, because that's really my strength, you know, and I love mentoring kids, you know, so, you know, it's my calling, you know, and I love it. I love what I do.
What percentage are girls?
I had girls teams, you know, the unfortunate part for me is that, you know, a lot of parents, you know, want me to coach their kids, and I just got overwhelmed. One year, I remember going back about maybe 10 years ago, I was coaching 6 teams, and I just was so exhausted, and I had to cut something, and I did cut the girls, but I am looking to bring it back, you know, with a facility. Yeah, then I can do that.
So Jeff, the challenge
Bring it
today,
back to people.
the challenge today, and coach will tell you that, and I've witnessed because I'm always trying to help him, is it's impossible to get courts. So, you know, if you know, you play in Columbus Park, you also have limited amount there because there's local residents that are coming and playing, so you can't just monopolize that court. So it becomes impossible. Coach is working and doing something full time and taking all these other teams, like, you know, and by the way, I don't think coach, has everybody been turned away because they said, I don't have the money to pay for the program? You know, well, let's find a way to, you know, to get these kids to do it. So that's the challenge. The challenge is there isn't one place where you can be organizing that, having assistant coaches, having programs, you know, come one, you know, come the other. So that's always been the challenge. And, you know, I've been in places in the middle of the Bronx. These guys have courts. We don't have courts.
I just want to point out that we have someone from the public who'd like to make a comment or a question. Glenn Tippett, go ahead.
Yeah, how are you doing, Coach?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good. Unfortunately, Harbor Island. Well, let me ask this question first. How big is your facility compared to Sports Time facility right now?
We could, you know, let me answer that. We could be, if you know that little court, that the outdoor tennis court and next to Sport Time, that one belongs to the village, at least belonged. I don't know if it still does. We can build the facility in a little bit more space than that.
See, there's where it's problematic. Sports Time itself has wanted to build a larger facility in the harbor for years and basically has been turned down. That's why this ad hoc committee was formed, because a couple of years ago, they were thinking of ending the contract with Sports Time. And basically that would have been the end of tennis, indoor tennis in the village. The village itself is not capable of running an indoor tennis program at a profit. The reason that Sports Time came in 30 years ago was because the village was losing money hand over fist trying to run its own tennis program. I love the idea, but I think you're better off trying to find someplace else than the harbor, as Kelly has kind of hinted at. I don't know if our local harbor coastal management would allow even Sports Time to rebuild a facility at this point down in the harbor.
Glenn, let me explain to you that harbors around the, you know, the entire East Coast are zones that are actually, there are special laws to incentivize development in the coastal areas, in harbors like that. So you're being very general. In fact, unfortunately, the people that tell us you can't do this, they never can point to anything specific. They tell us, go do something else. And that's not acceptable, at least in our vocabulary. We're local residents. We're trying to do something good for the residents and for the kids. And there is absolutely no reason why you can build something in Harbor Island. Now, I'm not going to get into Sport Time. I think that that's a failed experiment. And, you know, maybe the village is getting $300,000 a year, but I don't know what the village residents are getting out of it. But again, that's my personal opinion. But saying that you can't build something in the harbor, there's no basis for that.
Yeah, Glenn, actually, you should take a look at the minutes from this committee's meetings posted online. We have been discussing what could be possibly built down there, including, you know, over that outdoor tennis court with, you know, possible expansion. it's definitely, you know, our next steps is to talk to people in the village manager and so forth, to see if, you know, ascertain how realistic that is. But we are discussing that type of thing as part of this committee.
Look, I thought the perfect spot to put a facility would have been behind the
Sewage
sewer
treatment
treatment
plant. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
we're first
that's
looking
what-
at what could be done on the current footprint, plus possibly, you know, extension into that hard court, tennis court area.
So what you're saying is that we're gonna replace basketball with tennis, the tennis with basketball.
Well, no, we're soliciting ideas, right? I don't think we're saying that or anything else at this point, right? We're about to have a survey for the community to see what the community is interested in down at the harbor. So this is all about ideas.
Yeah, well, what I'm saying is, can we build a basketball facility behind, over where the sewer treatment is and have the tennis in the middle? Or is it, you're gonna have tennis or the basketball or soccer in the middle? That's the question I'm asking.
Glenn, I think,
Not there.
Glenn, I think the answer, and you can look at the minutes from the committee meetings, but I think the answer is we don't know. And there is a sewer pipe easement that would go under that land. So that creates headaches, and it creates headaches with whether the county can demand, you know, access to that sewer line at any time. So there are hurdles. And the answer is we don't know what can be built there, if anything.
That was exactly my point. I know this from 20 years ago.
Yeah.
When Sports Time made that proposal.
I know.
Where
Yeah.
where else in the harbor would you be looking to try to place the facility? I know you can't do anything for a few years because the county is about to do the pier, finish the pier, so that's probably a 2-year project. Where else would you actually be looking to put the facility in the harbor?
Actually, you know, there's nothing specifically picked out right now. We're all open for discussion. That's all.
And Glenn, I don't think what you're saying is accurate. Just because somebody else is building something doesn't mean you can build a facility. These facilities are fairly straightforward to build.
Yeah,
So
but they got the space for that. Have you looked at the other side, at the Rushmore side? Is there space there to put that type of facility?
Look, I think that there's several places, you know, within Harbor Island and even outside of Harbor Island that this could be done. We're looking at the village and, you know, and people in the harbor to tell us this is acceptable. We don't have a preference. It doesn't really matter.
Now, understand something. I'm 100% for it. I was for when Sports Time wanted to build a very large facility and basically were turned down. I am absolutely for it. You know, we've talked about Taylor's Lane in the past, but we can't get an okay on that. I would try to as many spots. I'm 100%. I think we need an indoor soccer. We need the basketball, and we need the tennis, and anything you can do to think outside of the box of where that type of facility would fit. Is it any feasibility of Columbus Park? Is there any feasibility of any place else in the village that it could fit?
You could definitely do Columbus Park. I think it would be hard to say, let's do it where the existing court is, because that court is heavily used, and, you know, you can't really like say, in my opinion, you can't tell the residents, hey, you know, go away, like we're going to close this. But yeah, there's room there for another court.
Yeah.
You know, indoor court.
All right, I need to talk to my committee members for a second and say, I need to, I can't keep running the Zoom much longer. So if we can move on to some other business, unless someone has additional questions.
Yes, Kelly, I have one clear
Sure.
question. Is from here, what is our next step?
You know, I think this committee's work will not be done for several months. And as Jeff alluded to, there's going to be a community survey looking to what residents are looking for. You know, with the creation of this committee, there were different components to what we're trying to do. We're trying to, not lose the money from sport time. We're trying to serve the community and make sure that whatever happens down there is sustainable long-term. So
Well, can we help facilitate with regards to a survey? We can do our hands.
the
On to
committee
help
has,
us.
Kel, actually,
You know-
let me stop you guys. My opinion is.
excuse me, time out.
Yeah,
Time
my
out.
turn,
No.
Kelly.
Nope.
Okay, then you go and say it and then let me answer.
We need to move along this meeting, and I need to end the meeting soon. What I was saying is that we have a survey that's coming out that this committee has been working on for months, and that's going to go out to the public. I would suggest that if JAM is interested in conducting its own survey and doing some things, that would be helpful to us. I would also suggest, just from the committee, since we are looking at financial pieces, that some more modeling be done in terms of how much money would be charged to residents for programs, how many residents would participate, something like that. You shake your head. This is a suggestion. It's a suggestion. All right. So now I'm going to unmute. So you're unmuted.
We can't hear you. I think you need to.
I don't think that's right. I am not going to give a bunch of information for the committee, and for the committee then to turn around and say, hey, let me feed it to somebody else because that's what works. I think we're making a pretty reasonable proposal. What I'd like to know specifically is whose approval do I need to build it? Because Kelly, you're the first person. Don't you want kids to move away from your backyard, making noise in the club and things like that, since you don't like that? We're trying to get kids off the street. You're telling me you're going to take months to decide this? What's the impediment here?
The impediment is FEMA. Here's what I would say. I would say if you can feel free. This committee has no absolute decision-making authority. I say you're welcome to go to the Board of Trustees or to the building department and give them your proposal for construction and just move forward. You don't need this committee's, blessing by any stretch. This is in large form, an exploratory committee. And so you don't need this committee's blessing at all. If you have a plan, I would say take your plan to the building department, take it to the village manager's office and present it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and who approves it?
We have done that.
If the village manager and the building department, if you have a plan, you can come to the Board of Trustees. I mean, it would involve all kinds of legal questions involving, what would the lease look like? You could have a lawyer talk to the village lawyer. Eventually it would come to the Board of Trustees. It would have to be a plan about the village leasing its land. I don't expect you would want to lease the land without knowing that you could build something on it. So that involves coordination between the village, meaning the manager's office, and the building department, and legally, eventually with a lease, and you. It doesn't need to involve this committee. So,
Thank you.
don't be frustrated with the time we're going to take. It's the nature of what we're doing.
If you don't do it, it never gets done. So, we have to move, because otherwise we're going to be here for another 20 years and not have it.
So I'm saying, please, if you're in a hurry, move. By all means, move on it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Hopefully I'll have your support.
I would love to see something like this done in the village. We've got a lot of interest to balance here.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Yep. Yep.
Take care, guys.
Yes, thanks, Carlo.
Thanks, guys.
Stay well.
Yeah,
Yep.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Yep. Okay, I'll toss it back over to you, Jeff. Is there additional committee work that you want to address tonight?
So Sally, you were not at the beginning. We did talk about the survey. And I think that was really our only agenda item other than this basketball proposal discussion. I was not able to look at your Google Doc. I didn't have access.
I wasn't either, Sally.
So Jeff, Could you do me a favor? I think we just need to get the minutes approved from the last meeting, which I think was June 10th.
Yeah, so the minutes have not been written yet from the last meeting. I will try to get to both minutes this weekend. Apologies for that.
No apologies necessary.
And I think that was the only meeting, I think, as Jeff mentioned, I just could hear all the first piece of it, so I heard most of it. I heard most of the meeting. So I think the minutes we'll get to when we get to it. The survey, we did have a conversation with Robert. The other thing Robert did mention, and I have a village resident who said she would translate it for us. So I think we're going to have the document translated as well, so that, you know, it sort of helps all the residents, not just one particular group. So we're going to get that piece done. And then Robert will put it up for 2 or 3 weeks, as Jeff has already mentioned. So, and then we'll wait and see what the results come back as.
I think that's great. Hey, Glenn Tippett has a comment. Glenn, I need to hop on another Zoom at,
This is gonna be, this
Yeah.
is very quick.
yeah,
The only thing I'd ask is, can we once again check and see if Taylor's Lane at some point is gonna be available for us to use for recreation?
yes, information is coming out about that as late as today. So stay tuned.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Kelly.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, guys.
Kelly, just one last thing.
Yeah,
You had sent like an email last week about maybe the building department having some sort of dialogue with
Yes.
Claude's group. Have
as of last night, that had not been arranged. So
Okay.
I will keep you guys in the loop
Okay.
and let you know if anything is arranged. I hope that they are talking. As of last night, they hadn't talked, but I hope that
Okay.
they're talking, but I'll absolutely keep you guys in the loop.
Thank you.
Yep, of course.
Thanks, everybody.
Anybody
Thank
else?
you.
We're done?
I think
Tina,
we're done.
congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Take care,
Bye.
guys.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.